Hello, yes, we are ready today. So welcome everyone to our third day session. We are here with some brand ambassador like Carrie, Giovanni, Bappi, and Loel. And John is, as you know, is in Germany. There is the creative world that will open tomorrow until until Monday. You can find our dynamic booth at the hall one per floor B19. So just central door and on the left. So we are waiting for you. And today we are sorry for my voice. Today we are exploring other six colors of our range that were released in the 1993, and Giovanni, Carrie, and Buffy and Loyal can show some example from them. And we have the Quinacridone Rose, the Quinacridone Violet, the Ultramarine Violet, the Indentron Blue, the Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and the Prussian Blue. All these colors are single pigment, and they are white tanning. Only the ultramarine violet is long tanning. All those colors are transparent. They have the excellent light fatness, and most of them only the ultramarine violet is granulating. All the other five are non-granulating. So let's explore how they behave. And mind that, for example, quinacridone rose and quinacridone violet, they have the same pigment, but in different granulation, and so they have a different shade, like the quinacridone red. So they come from the pigment violet 19. So let's have fun. This is my sample dried on cold press paper. So you can have different solution of your watercolors in your papers. So any papers have different values and tones and results. So happy painting today.
Okay.
And thank you for watching.
Okay, thank you. And exploring the color in a simple way with a
Another
swatch.
cold press paper.
Yeah, in a swatch normal wet on dry and the explosion wet on wet. The first is a Queen Rose. Take on my half pen squeeze. Okay, and watching this. The beautiful color, perfect for the flowers, for the skin tone, and wet. Okay, taking only one drop and exploring the explosion. By more zoom, sorry. Okay. The explosion is not too fast, it's very slow. I don't have a hole behind the center. And very curious. The second color is Queen Violet. Another beautiful color. Very strong color. And I love, for example, it's not too strong, but when I arrive at this part, because this shade is very beautiful. Wet effect. Like one drop is more fast and remain the whole and exploding behind. It's very interesting. Apply more zoom for the details. Very apply another drops and exploding very well. Curious mode. The third color is ultramarine violet. Very transparent violet.
Sorry for my cup.
No problem. Very interesting. Violet and wet. Okay. Only one drops. The explosion don't remain the whole in the center, but the topping, yeah. When applied, for example.
It's very, very light.
Yeah. It's very interesting. The fourth color is the one most interesting blue is indantron blue. Very strong blue. An interesting shade from strong to light, but in the center is very beautiful and perfect for the night scenes in the landscape, or for more dark. I use this indantron blue, for example, for before my black background when I need the cool effect for the black. On the wet.
This is our darkest blue.
Yeah. One drops, and the explosion is beautiful. It's similar to the fireworks. It's very, very fast. The fifth color is phthalo blue green shade. Another beautiful blue. I like this, for example, this dark around, light in the center, and the wet. Is fast same, but it is little different. Fast explosion is in difference in comparison with indantron. Indantron exploding very, very fast. This is the same fast, but in one moment it is break in this part. Very, very interesting. The last color, last of the day is the Prussian blue.
The classic
Prussian blue. I love this color because it remains stable. I don't have a surprise when using the brush. Apply more zoom for detailing. And the wet effect. One drops. Exploding is the same. All the three blues is very, very fast to explode.
It's more light than the other blues.
Is more lighter. The difference.
More transparent.
More transparent, strong indantron, medium. Okay, thank you. And now I'm mixing all together for a beautiful marble effect. Same last.
Thank you, Gio. Carrie, we'll put your front-facing camera first so that you could say hi to everybody.
Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here today, and what beautiful colors we're getting to use. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my how I do my pans, and then I have a video because I paint pretty slowly and detailed. So I did a sped up video so you can see a whole process because we only have about 10 minutes each. So I make my own pans and I have them in these little containers. You've seen them before if you've seen me demo. And so I have the ones flipped open that I'm using today. Now I did bring in one warm color, a Quin Gold, to mix in with these for the project I'm doing today. But these are my little pans. I paint with them dry. And yeah, and so I'll go ahead and have Ethel start my video and I'm going to talk to you about my project today for my demo.
Okay. Okay.
So I was playing around with an iridescent teapot and pinwheels. So you can see on the left is my reference photo. It's a print off of it. And so from that video of the pinwheel spinning, I took a picture and now I have drawn that out and masked it. All of that shiny blue is my masking fluid. And I'm using our colors today. So I have our Quin Rose up at the top, and I'm now using Prussian blue in this shadow. See how nicely that spreads. And so I do a lot of very controlled puzzle-like piece wet on wets. And I do all of my mixing on my paper instead of on a palette. And so I started doing that because I was starting to hoard palettes and have all these color combinations that I just couldn't quite get rid of. So I ditched my palette completely and started mixing all my colors on the paper. And it works really well for my still life, and I predominantly do glass. So I get these fresh washes. So right now I've got my phthalo blue green shade. I've mixed in some of the ultramarine violet and some of the Prussian blue, or that's actually Indian Throne right there. Indian Throne. And I'm lifting out with just a thirsty brush, some highlights. I only have a few little highlights that are masked in this section. Everything else will be lifted. I'm dropping more of that ultramarine violet. So I kind of babysit these washes as they're happening, and I'll intensify and drop pigment in as needed. Right now we're back to our phthalo blue green shade. And I'm getting that as my nice basis for those light blues that are in that those pinwheel shadows. There's some more of the Quin Rose. And so I'm doing these, like I showed you, the controlled wet on wets. And I'm letting that watercolor kind of bloom. And I'm watching my dry time so that I know when I can drop more pigment in, how much time I have before it's the paint starts repelling. You have those stages. I also use some of the Quin Violet in those shadows up there at the top. And then I'm lifting some more of those as I'm babysitting this. There's some of the Quin Rose. And this is on Arches, 156-pound cold press. 156-pound cold press is in between 140 and 300. And I've drawn it on with a mechanical pencil. Here's my phthalo blue green shade again in that controlled wet on wet. I'm trying to get those neat little shapes that the pinwheel, the shadows are making in the background. And this is kind of a study for a larger group of still lifes that I would like to do with this idea. Look how nicely that ultramarine violet and the Quin Rose mixed. And now I'm getting some of the Indian Throne in there. It's cold press arches. And then, I'm sorry, I'm reading my chat at the same time. So here's some more of the the phthalo blue green shade, and then mixing some of that ultramarine violet. All of these pigments played really nicely together. I like to think of pigments as like kids on the playground. Some are shy, some are really boisterous in the life of the party, some are bullies. So that's how I think about my color palette. And these all were very harmonious together. They played pretty well. I would say that the ultramarine violet is probably the shyest of them, as in it takes a little more oomph. There was my cat, sorry, had a little invasion. So the ultramarine violet takes a little more pigment to get it going, but a lot of the other ones are very strong. And I am using dried pans. Now here I mixed in a little bit of the Quin Gold to get that green color. So I'm going to start with the Quin Gold is just getting some of these peachy and warm tones. Right now, the green tone, you'll have some peaches in a minute, but I needed a warm color in there. And I think Quin Gold is just about in every painting. Here I am mixing the Quin Gold with the Quin Rose. And once again, the Quin Gold mixes, you know, all the Quin Rose, all of those go nicely together. And there was a little of the Quin Violet as well in there. And then a spout of the teapot, I have a lot more masking on there. So because the thing about glass is to get that sparkle captured. And so I've got a lot of the masking just in those sparkle areas. And so that spout's got some. So I'm mixing in the Quin or Phthalo Blue Green shade, some of the Quin Violet and Ultramarine Violet right in there in the spout. And then some of the Quin Gold just to get some of that warmth in the middle. And whenever you're mixing two colors that might be complementary, if you kind of bridge them with, so if I was going from Quin Gold to a blue, I might put a pink in between the two to bridge them. So I kind of do a rainbow theory when I mix going into a kind of complementaries, so I don't create mud in between. You want some kind of color to bridge in between. And here I've got my Phthalo Blue Green shade mixing in with some of that Ultramarine Violet. I feel like I'm saying the wrong name. Yeah, ultramarine violet. And then down inside the teapot, we have all these rings. You know, if it's a glass teapot, you're seeing it sitting on the surface. You're seeing the reflections coming through. And you're seeing on top of that, the pinwheel shadow coming through all of it. And this teapot, like I said, wasn't iridescent. It's an iridescent teapot, so it has a little shimmer to it as well. So look right in here, how pretty that Quin Gold mixes with the Quin Violet and the Quin Rose right in the center. It gets some really nice peachy colors. Getting the handle in now and the shadow of the handle down here. And I used more Prussians in the shadow because I wanted a little bit more cool, a little duller on the shadow and a little more lifelike inside. So I used the Indanthrone blues for my darks inside the teapot and the Prussian on the table to ground it. And we're mixing again in that center where the kind of warm tea is, you have the peachier colors. And see how nicely they all just blend together. And it's a lot of figuring out your water control to get these nice blending where they're not taking over each other. They're working nicely together. And now I am getting that lid. So in that lid, I use the Quin Rose to branch between the two, Gwen. So in that lid, I have some dark colors. So I'm using the Indanthrone and a creamier consistency to get those dark colors up in there. So anytime you have a wet on wet and you want to have more detail, you just use a creamier paint. The creamier consistency doesn't travel like a wet paint would. So if I want more detail while I have a wet on wet, then I use a creamier paint. So really moving my teapot around right now so that I can get all these shapes in there, getting the shadows on the back. I'm getting more detail up in this lid. These glass teapots have like a lot of these rings because they're sitting inside of each other. The lid has a lot of little rings that are sitting on top. You've got that, you see all those glass circles. So lots of ellipses. Now I've got my scrubber brush, an eradicator brush, and I have taken the masking off and I'm now smoothing out all of these areas and going back in with paint anywhere that I have too thick of a masking line. So that is my demo, and then we'll go back to my desk and I'll show you the final product. Here is my painting finished right here.
Gorgeous.
Let me zoom in a little bit. But like I said, I want to play around a little bit with this idea and do a whole setup with this iridescence and the pinwheels and all those colors. And today it was so nice to have a palette that was perfect for that. And some of these colors I probably wouldn't have thought to use. So I'm excited. That's what I think these sessions are great for, to introduce us to colors that we might not use. But it was very fun today. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. So now we move to Buffy. And so here she is. Welcome, Buffy,
Buffy.
again. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Let me switch cameras real quick. Those reflected lights in Carrie's painting were just, wow, beautiful,
Beautiful.
work. So nice. Okay. So these colors, I agree, they're just beautiful. They all go well together. So what I did was I took a craft brush, a brush that just had seen better days, and I used it in masking fluid, right? The big no-no. But I got to tell you, if you go fast and you use an old brush, you use it and then you wash it with soap and water, you can get away with it. So what I did was I just masked some flower shapes, really loose and expressive. And I'm going to do the background with these colors. So I'm just going to get the background wet, very sloppy, and maybe leave a few little white bits of paper pour the excess water off. And now we can start playing with these amazing colors. I've never painted with ultramarine violet, so this is going to be my first time seeing what it does. And I was
Ooh.
thinking that wouldn't it be pretty to come up against some of these flowers since it's a lighter value? I was thinking that. So we'll look at how it's spread, guys. That's neat.
Finger painting.
Yes. So often. And what if we took a little bit of the quinacridone rose, beautiful color, introduce that into some of the wet bits. Since there's a lot of masking, there's little dams where the paint's getting caught. So I just use my finger to bring it around. I could also use a little bit of a sprayer to help it get a little bit more motion. And then this is the lilac. Pour this right. This is going to be a little bit stronger.
Nice.
So I'll put it on the outskirts of town there. And I'm going to go right into the dark colors now. This is the Indanthrone blue, which some people might see a little bit of purple in it sometimes. Like a little bit of a lean to purple. And this is why I have blue fingers a lot. And then this is Prussian blue. And Prussian blue, I think, in my opinion at least, is one of the prettiest blues of Daniel Smith. It is just, it's so pure. It's so pure. And then the phthalo blue green shade. And if you noticed how vibrant and seamless on Carrie's painting, how the blends, how she explained she's letting the colors mix on the paper. And so those blends are so seamless and pure and vibrant. The same kind of theory is working here where we're letting those colors mix and mingle on the paper, letting the water be, it's like method of travel, right?
It's interesting how there's a light pink almost there from, I guess the ultramarine violet.
Yeah, it might be the lilac or the rose also. And then you can adjust. You can say, "Oh, that's too blue." And as long as there's still shimmer, you can adjust the colors, and you can keep kind of playing with it. And you'll get these nice little areas where the white of the paper will blend with the colors as well. So I don't know how much time I have, but what I'll do is when this dries, I'll take the masking fluid off, and then I'll use the same colors to paint these delicate little flowers. So it all has a harmony. But isn't that beautiful, guys?
Yeah. I want to see what the flowers painted.
Will do. I'll be working on that while Lowell shares. Yeah. If you rock it around too much, it'll just all become one color. So it's kind of takes a little practice, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So pretty. Thank you for letting me share, guys.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. So now we go to Lowell. And we'll come back.
Hi,
Welcome,
yes.
Hello.
Hello. Let's switch cameras and paint. All right. So I had all but Prussian blue for the colors. A couple of these are favorites of mine, the Quin Violet and the Phthalo Blue green shade, because they do the layering that I love so well. I'll bring these closer so you can see. So that's one of my favorite ways to use the Quin Violet, as well as the Phthalo Blue green shade, is to do all the transparent petals. And it also works really well on the mineral paper. So those were cotton paper, and this is a little, I call it the Pacific Northwest Raindrop series on mineral paper. So I've been doing in the last couple of Thursdays kind of a focus on play. So a couple of weeks ago, we did the wonky tape game. I'll show you. So that was this exercise. And then last week,
Oh, wow.
we did the circle game, right? And all of these are about play and just letting go of all the expectations to make new discoveries to bring into your work. So today is the grab an unfamiliar tool game, and I'm going to use Yupo. I'm walking the walk because this is not a material that I use very often, but I love to pick up things that I seldom have in my hand and just see what happens. Like sometimes I've made a game of saying no brushes, and I'll grab, these were spatulas I found from the kitchen, and so I'll grab those. Or, you know, this is a metal straw I'll use to blow paint around, for example. And so in that same vein, instead of the cotton paper I'm used to, or even the mineral paper that I love, I picked up some Yupo today. So surfaces like the Yupo or the mineral paper are so fantastic for getting to know your pigments, because there's really nowhere for the pigment particles to go. It's so smooth that they're going to sit on top. So one of the things that makes a really staining pigment staining is that the pigment particles are so tiny, it'll get into those little bitty grooves that are all inside the fibers of the cotton paper. Whereas a paper like the Yupo or mineral paper or even a hot press, it's so smooth that the pigment particles have to kind of stay on the surface and play. And so it's one of my favorite things. And they're so bright white, papers like the Yupo. It's such a wonderful way to get to know the pigments, and they'll be so vibrant, and you can just watch them play together. So it's a lot of fun. So let's start with, I've been doing a lot of sort of florals with these negative space vases. So I'm just gonna try one of those and we'll see how it goes. And if you're painting along, just grab anything that you don't typically have in your hand and start playing along. The whole idea is that with the things that we pick up over and over, we kind of build muscle memory, or the whole like neurons that fire together, wire together. You know, we develop kind of familiar, comfortable habits where if you grab something you're not really maybe so used to, it'll kind of force you outside of that comfort zone. and lead to some new little discoveries is the idea. So I took the colors that I did have on hand, the Quin Rose, Ultramarine Violet, Quin Violet, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, and Enthroned. And while we've been doing these sort of throwback sessions, I've been taking the vintage palettes, if you will, and then choosing one of the newest to combine. So for today, I chose Cobalt Green Deep to combine with the 5 colors that I had. So this is a nice little beautiful kind of plummy mix that I made with the Quin Rose and the Cobalt Green Deep. I love that little beautiful deep purple that it makes. And you can just see the colors already really vibrant on the Yupo. So we're gonna suggest a sort of negative space vase with some angles here. I did kind of wash my Yupo paper with a little bit of just 70% alcohol, just to make sure it didn't have, you know, lotion or something from my hands to interfere with the paint. So this is that same plummy Quin Rose with the Cobalt Green Deep that I just picked up to mix in with these for fun. And you can already see how it's separating on this Yupo surface. The green's really standing out and giving it some really nice textures. Pick up some of one of our darker blues maybe for fun. So this will be the Indian Throne. We'll throw some of that in to see what happens. And then I took some Indian Throne and I mixed it with the Cobalt Green Deep. I'm just going to use that for a stem. So I'll take a dagger brush and pick some of, it's just a nice deep blue green mix. And we'll make a stem and then put some petals and leaves and see what happens with all the mixing. So again, it's just a fun little letting go of all expectations, just enjoying the process and learning. The end result really isn't the point at all. It's about just letting go, kind of having that meditation and just having fun with it. And the color is just one aspect of the pigments. So having them on this nice smooth surface really lets some things stand out, especially like the granulation of this cobalt and of the ultramarine violet. I'm just adding another little, just some cobalt green deep branches on top of my Indian Throne mix. Get this over to give myself a little more room. So whether it's a different brand of paper or a type that you don't pick up very often or a brush that you're just not very used to using, just shaking it up in this way to go outside the comfort zone and play and make new discoveries. It's just fun. So this is some phthalo blue green shade. We'll just see how it blends in. And all the colors today are just pretty. Here's some ultramarine violet. We'll bring in some granulation and that nice light pretty lavender. gonna come back and add some darks for fun. And I love what'll happen here with that really, really, really soft blending. It's really nice. Here's a little bit of Quin Rose just to see what happens. That nice bright pop of pink with some of these petals. And so, yeah, one of the great things about the papers like the Yupo or the mineral paper, but especially the Yupo, is that you have to just let it be. I'm a really fiddly painter. I love detail. If I pick up cotton paper, I'll just, get a little too focused on the details. Whereas a surface like this, the way that you really just let everything shine is to let go, put down the pigment, and just kind of walk away. And so it's a good lesson for me to not keep fussing with it too terribly much. And if the Yupo is intriguing, Sylvia Monge is one of my watercolor heroes, and she is a Yupo master. So I would encourage you to watch more of her demos. It's just so gorgeous, the things that she makes and the vibrancy of the colors. And grab some more of the ultramarine violet. So yeah, and as it dries, you can start seeing some of the interactions that are happening. Again, the pigments have nowhere to go. They can't sink into the paper, so they have to stay and play with each other. And so I'm getting some really beautiful little ripples and things that are happening, and the way that the cobalt kind of pushes things out of the way. You can see it force things away, and now I'm getting those blendy bits here with the pink and the blue. And so these are great little observations to take on to my future pieces. And 3 of these colors I had in the watercolor sticks, which is my hands down favorite format. I prefer the sticks greatly, so I can actually grab some really rich pigments. One way to draw attention to the center of the flowers is to make them really, really dark. So I just have a wet brush taking really rich pigment off of one of my watercolor sticks, and I can come back in and kind of bring attention to, the areas where maybe they're connecting to the little stem that I made, and bring some attention to those little spots. So yeah, I'm on a kick just to encourage no expectations, play, meditation through watercolor. And just a great way to get to know your materials without focus on the end result. Can come back in here and make this a little richer. And you can see all the blending that's happening over here. In this little spot, I love what happened there. That would be something I would want to recreate, the way that some of the pigments pushed against each other in that area. It's really pretty. You guys are so quiet.
I think everyone's just tripping out on how pretty that is. All the colors blending and
Relaxing. Yeah, it's a great way to find, and it's a great way to find mixes too that you might want to use more purposefully. Like it's a fun way to play and then to take that and build purpose. Like the way that the Quinn Violet's pushing against that phthalo blue-green shade there and the granulation. I'm just gonna splash some more cobalt in just to get some more, see how it just pushes everything out of the way? So that's just lovely. So yeah, I mean, it's a mess, but it's a fun mess and it's a learning mess. It's just a really, it's a fun way. And if I ever feel stuck, you know, I know I sometimes get that little bit of creative block. This is the kind of thing that I'll do. I'll just pick up a new thing that I haven't had in my hand for a while and just let myself play and have these little meditations. If I splash water, I think it should push some things away as well. That's one of the great things about the Yupo is I can just add water and now I have these beautiful like bubbly effects there. And so yeah, I would try to recreate this purposely for some leaves, recreate that purposely for other textures as well. And some of these other interactions, like what's happening there with the ultramarine violet and the Quinn violet is really very pretty. I can bring it down. I can't bring the paper closer necessarily because you really just have to let it stay and marinate and figure itself out. But here, that little river of color that's running through there and some of the granulation that it picked up, just a really lot of pretty things happening. So if you guys are playing along with any materials you haven't had in your hand for a while, that would be a fun share toward the end.
Loel, Larry is asking, can you use the heat tool dry it?
Can I use the heat to dry it? You can. So for example, you can, but it'll come at a cost of sorts. So for example, the mineral paper works a lot in the same way as the Yupo. And to do something like this effect, I use a very, very, very gentle, low heat. You know, you don't want to get it hot or it'll warp. So a very gentle, low heat to move the pigment. I can show you guys that on the mineral paper if you like. So yeah, if you do that, it's gonna move and it's gonna create those sort of layers and ripples, but it's something you want to be very careful with. For one, you don't want to get it hot. For two, you don't want to blow your pigment too hard, or it'll just be like having a straw or a tornado. Really, it'll just blow everything away. So you can very judiciously and carefully, and I do use
Well,
that to get some of those effects. Yeah.
well, what do you use to dry? Like, is it a regular hair dryer or a heat gun?
Yeah, here, let me move a couple things and I'll bear with 1 second and I'll scoot this off and I'll show you guys. Let me find something to put this on. So the short answer is I use a really cheap hair dryer and it's on purpose kind of bad. Let me grab some mineral paper. So for fun, I'll switch and just, do some play on another weird little surface here. So usually this paper, I recommend rinsing before you get started, but in the interest of time, I'm just gonna go for it as is. I use this little, I think it was like a $10 travel hair dryer. and I've obviously had it. It's seen some love. It's had some days. But yeah, it's on purpose. Very, very, very gentle. It's kind of weak, if you will, on purpose, so that I can get just gentle air and not heat. Right. So for example, those little. This will just be a little quick one. Those Pacific Northwest raindrops that I call it. So I'll take my Phthalo blue green shade, and I'm gonna go ahead and just add a little water puddle. And you can see how the water beads up. Again, there's really not anywhere for this stuff to go. And so if I start with my little puddle of pigment, I can very carefully, so it's gonna be, they'll probably mute me, so it'll be, if I just show. The little pigment particles in the phthalos are so tiny. Let me grab a cardboard surface so I can stabilize this on something. They're so tiny that they just find the little bitty homes in this calcium carbonate surface that makes up the mineral paper. You can do the same thing. I've tried it on Yupo, and it works pretty well. And so then I can, give it a little swirl and come back and make another edge. And then if I want, I can bring it down and even overlap. That's what I do with those raindrops sometimes. So I'll bring it closer so you guys can see a little better, because it's kind of, it takes a bit for we'll see if the light will pick it up. It might be too bright. So you can kind of see the different layers that I'm building. And again, if I keep going, I can get the richer color. This is the blue green shade mixed with neutral tint. And so, only cautions, again, it kind of comes with some, you have to do it judiciously, and it comes with some cautions. One is don't get it too hot. It will warp. I think the temp was like 140 degrees, maybe. I'd have to go back and look at my notes. And so you want to be gentle with it in that way. And the other is that, if you dilute, I've heard John say, if you dilute any pigment too much, you kind of take it apart. And so if you start to see pigment particles, I'll kind of let it just sit and, and do its thing and dry just naturally. You never, like if I had a big edge built up or something, and I'm very careful not to blow the dry pigment around. I'm making sure it's caught in the water. And so I'm watchful for that when I work it this way. So yeah, that's we've had Yupo. I'll come back to that. And the mineral, just a little like taste of the mineral paper. So here's the Yupo piece I had before. But again, you can see on these surfaces how bright and beautiful and vibrant the colors are. And I can bring this closer too. Oh, let me adjust my camera a little bit there. And so yeah, you can see where the particles and the blending and just all those really lovely things. You can only get that kind of stuff with these smooth, beautiful surfaces. And so I found some, some effects and some color combinations that I would definitely revisit in my future pieces. So I hope that's helpful. If you guys have any other questions about the odd surfaces, please ask. But
thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So you are so inspiring. We come back to
Beautiful.
Buffy. She has finished some layers. So Buffy, you're on.
Oh, hello. Hello, hello. Just over here drying. So I took the masking fluid off and I softened it, and I put some of the ultramarine violet. It's very abstract, but I was thinking of a little wisteria gouache. Might be fun to symbol the little flower centers. Something fun. Since it's so abstract looking, why not, right? It is fun to incorporate gouache on your watercolor sometimes too. I've been finding the more I plein air paint, the more I want to have some opaque colors. So it's a fun thing to experiment with. So the other thing though is if you guys notice how those blends from where I poured everything are doing, even though these are staining colors, you can get a lift. So I'm going to show you guys really quick. I just have to finish drying that one spot. I love how Lowell was sharing about playing, and I think that is really important because if every time we're doing a painting, we're trying to have an end result, we're not going to take any risks, and so we're not going to progress. And so, just pushing your boundaries and or having a sketchbook practice where you can try new things in the privacy of your sketchbook, those are all great things to grow. These are little paper arts. They're not stencils, they're made out of paper. One second, guys. I lost my brush that I was going to use for this. That's not good. Do you want to come right back to me in just 2 minutes, Letty, so I can find my brush?
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
Well, welcome back, Gio.
Yes, Giovanni is painting a kind
Glowing
of
fish.
abstract
fish, but it's not my usual style.
from zero without
Yeah,
the
yeah.
train.
You're
I
rocking it
started-
here, Gio.
I love it.
Thank you. No, the first
That's
I
fun.
tried to Zoom, sorry. Okay.
Wow.
You know, Gio, it's like a
Wow.
steampunk fish, like
Yeah,
Veronica
it
does.
is.
You know Veronica that she does steampunk art?
Really nice, Giovanni.
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, the first
Gio,
is
your color makes me think of fish wearing gown.
oh yeah. The first is a Queen Rose and a Phthalo Blue, but is the same percentual on the square. The second is a Queen Violet in the throne, but is a more Queen Violet inside. This is ultramarine violet, the granulation effect with the little light Prussian blue, a very light, and mixing it all together in this case for this effect, granulation, and ultramarine violet and indanthrone blue mixing all together for this beautiful violet shade, and after mixing all together for the fish, abstract fish.
Yeah, it seems a little bit psychedelic.
Yeah, it's very psychedelic. Applying them for
Like
the
60 years.
granulation. Or this is a indanthrone blue, ultramarine violet. This point is my sticks with hole and apply the point, the effect, and this is indanthrone blue and Prussian blue, indanthrone blue, ultramarine violet, and Queen Rose, light Queen Rose, and create this particular fish. It's funny.
So fun.
It's very versatile color. Because when I use this type of, especially the indanthrone blue, I use it for the Purest my black and lamb black and Prussian blue. Using for the because Prussian blue is a granulating color, but it's very little granulation, and I use only this with the granulation for the blues. And the another phthalo mixing. Now, for example, my last painting, using all the greens, only one blue, this blue phthalo blue green shade for the shadows. And
Next session you will show because
yeah,
in the next session we will talk about the greens
yeah, I showed this effect.
next week.
Yeah,
You have to wait a little bit.
thank
So
you.
we do a recap. Thank you. And so
Go back to Buffy.
Let's ask Letty, our friends in the room, anybody who painted along
Oh
or
yeah.
yeah, I see Picasso.
Pisana, Picasso. Oh wow, Picasso.
Veronica and
Sorry, I have only one color with me. Italo blue.
Yeah, Anna.
Stan.
Wow.
David, do you have something,
Nice.
David? Okay.
Oh, look at Susan's subject.
Ooh,
Susan.
nice.
David's
Yeah,
too.
Oh, they're
these are
Valentina's
also the
cherries.
colors of the
It's
hortensia.
getting right into the Valentine's mood. Started with the cherries last week.
Mm.
And look
Next
at
week.
David's mix for is it what's this flower?
Yeah, it's like a
I
hydrangea.
can't
Hortensia.
Okay.
can't pronounce
Cool.
hydrangeas.
That's what the colors reminded me of.
Yes, of course. Sure.
Yeah, it has the hydrangeas colors.
Yeah.
And
My
what
favorite one.
I look at Picasso interpretation of silhouette.
Yes. It's only one color,
And
Pitalo blue. Yes.
Wow, it's a mixed
Beautiful.
tree.
one
Ana, me
color.
encanta tu mini libreta.
Oh, Jolene's
Oh,
too. Oops.
gracias, Veronica. Yeah,
Let's
Veronica's
Nice.
complimenting.
let's put
Nice.
all the frames once more before we say bye-bye to everyone. Tomorrow, please do join us. It's going to be Carrie on demo.
Good. Okay.
Julian's. Can we put Julian's? Let me take out
La
one.
Candela is very small. Yeah.
It is super tiny, but it is Yupo. Look.
Yupo
Oh,
tiny.
yay.
And you know, I got it at the Daniel Smith store in Seattle. So there, I know.
I'm just
Nice.
gonna add Julian's. There's
I love it.
Julian's artwork too.
Thank you for everybody's inspiration. It was really fun today.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank you
thrilled
very
you tried
much.
the Yupo, Anna.
So it's Yupo
you,
and super
friends.
tiny. I never do tiny. So there you go.
We see Buffy's up close.
Yeah.
Please.
Jolene today represents South Africa.
Oh.
Jolene, can you please hold up to your artwork again? There. I could see Lowe's artwork as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, beautiful.
Thank you, everyone. Please do join us tomorrow, 10:30.
Is there a for Carrie's life whatever I forget what it's called the life painting? Does the teapot? Does she have a drawing or
the teapot? Okay, this
Yeah.
it's yeah.
Is there a drawing for it or a something to draw it out and
For
try it?
tomorrow. I can send it to Ethel. Do you want me to do that, Ethel?
You can actually share it in the chat now, Carrie, if you feel
I don't
okay.
have it. I'll be doing the drawing tonight for tomorrow. That one. I can put the one I did today maybe in the Facebook
Or
page.
tomorrow when Carrie goes live, she could share. Yeah, she did mention she could send it to me,
I don't
and then
have
we'll share it
Facebook,
in the
so-
chat.
Yes, I can do
Okay.
that.
Okay, great. Okay, good. Thank you.
All
We're gonna do a teacup tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay. Thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone. See you.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Letty and
Good
Gio,
night.
for leading today's session.
Bye.
See you
Thank you.
See you
tomorrow.
Bye,
tomorrow.
everyone.